You are now listening to Couch Coach Live.
So we are here now, back on another special Couch Coach Live. I actually have my first guest of 2020. And, of course, I got my man Chris LeBron of the Off the Ball podcast. What's going on, Chris?
What's going on, my man? How's everything?
Everything's pretty good, It was here, here. We want to talk a little hoops. Of course, we got the Super Bowl week coming up next week. So, football's got a little dry point, but here we want to really get heavy this week in some hoops, and of course Chris is an avid New York Giants fan, and also Knicks as well. So we'll definitely get into the Knicks and the drama that is with it.
I got a lot to say about my New York Knicks. So
absolutely, he may be a fan of JD in a straight shot. Who knows? But so of course I had it. I think this was the perfect timing for you to hop on a podcast this week, Chris, because
I'm excited to be on.
Yes, and news before we get into the hoops. We got to get a little football in.
Yes,
Eli Manning retires. He's going to be official tomorrow. Your thoughts on Eli Manning?
Oh man, Eli, just getting us 2 Super Bowls. I mean, just the 2 of the greatest moments as a Giants fan. And that that pass he made to Manningham was, to me, it's a better throw than that one to Tyree play, because the Tyree play is just kind of like, it was lucky. It was kind of lucky, he just threw it up. But the Manningham play is just, that play was just. I was just so happy when we won. But he's meant so much to this team and this city. And one thing that gets me upset is how the Giants kind of failed him since winning the last Super Bowl. They failed him and, cost him a chance to maybe win another championship and further cement his legacy as being legit one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But, hell of a career.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think it was funny because, as you are a Giants fan, I'm actually one of your rivals. I'm a beloved Washington Redskins fan. So,
man. So
seeing
you
Eli
feel the pain a little lately,
Yeah, and I do. Yeah, and the thing with Eli, what I'm really, to me, he's had a great career. Somebody who's been at a situation, for 16 years and to stay healthy. To me, that's just amazing in itself.
Yes.
And then it's funny. I used to criticize him early on in his career about the whole situation with the San Diego Chargers situation. And now I look at that as probably one of the most courageous moves because, in a sense, it put him on this trajectory for being where he's at now. Because, who's to say if who's to say he could have had a career like Phillip Rivers where he could have put up numbers, but he just couldn't get to the big game. And, with that concern. And to me, I definitely think he's a Hall of Famer because to me, I think the ingredients to be a Hall of Famer is you have to have the stats and or the moments, because you look at like a guy like Frank Gore. Frank Gore has the stats, but he doesn't have a moment. But Eli has the moment.
Yeah.
But Eli has 2 moments.
And that's what's going to get him in the Hall of Fame for sure.
Yeah.
Beating, it's not just the moments, but it's who he beat especially in the first Super Bowl. To beat an undefeated team, going after history. I mean, and then the moments he had in that game to win the Super Bowl, that alone, the first Super Bowl was Hall of Fame worthy, and then to do it again the second time, like I said, the pass to Manningham and winning 2 Super Bowl MVPs helps his case, and him finishing 7th all time in both, I think, passing yards and touchdowns, that's going to help his case a lot to get into the Hall of Fame for sure.
Absolutely, and another thing where I looked at from that standpoint, because I remember going into that week and everybody was saying, "Oh, this Patriot team is by far the greatest team we've ever seen." We looked at that; they looked at those teams as like the '85 Bears. They put them in that same tier, and we're like, let's kind of reel this in and just see what's gonna happen with that. And I'm just in it as a opposing fan, and just those moments. And I mean, to me, he really rose to the occasion when the backs was against the wall. He rose to the occasion, and I can remember. And it's funny because I remember this was in 2007. This was the year that y'all actually won the Super Bowl. This is like week 2 or 3. I mean, it's funny. I remember I went to the game, and it was so crazy. I think we had y'all beat. But Eli came on that second quarter. Yes, yes.
We were 0-2 going in, and the Redskins game where we were losing, and I'm like, everyone's got to get fired. I mean, Eli's got to go, Kaufman's got to go, and then we turned it around that game, and then we won 6 straight, and then the season turned around after that. So, I remember that. Yeah.
And that game, I think, to me personally, that gave me respect. That I respect the hell out of him for that one, because it's what, even though you get beat in that, it's they lose anyway, it just hurts itself. But to get to have that type, and he had that poise coming down the field. And I remember he threw that dart to Plaxico to pretty much seal the deal, and I was like, wow, Eli was just, I was like, man, Eli, that's a one tough son of a gun. And like, I hated seeing the Giants on the schedule, because he definitely had he had this he had some moments on us to say the least.
There was a time period where if we were losing and we were down, I was just so confident that Eli was going to help bring us back.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
Before we won the last Super Bowl, it was like he was just. We were down 10. I was like, all right, we're going to come back. We're going to win this game. We're down by a field goal. We were going to come back and win this game or tie the game. He was going to put us in position to win the game, and that's what I loved about him, especially early on.
Yeah, big time. Eli, it's just a very, very interesting situation, and I'm glad he did go out. I did, like you said, I did hate how this year worked out for him, but I'm actually glad that he did. He actually did have a nice little run in the last couple of games of the season, so he's able to play and kind of almost have a farewell tour. And I really did like the Monday night game against Philly, where even though in a loss, it's just like, you seen the Manning family, all of them there, and it's like everybody knew that was the end. It was pretty much his last primetime performance, and I just thought that was it was fitting for a guy like him to have that type of send off, even though in a loss, but for him to still have some ounce stuff, and he balled in that game too, which he pretty much played pretty well in that game, and so now with the Eli has moved on, and you guys have turned the page of the Pat Shurmur era. So I just want to hear your thoughts on this new head coaching change. With now you have Joe Judge in the field, and Jason Garrett is the OC. Just your thoughts on that.
I was happy Shurmur was gone. I just didn't think he had he's not a head coach. He just didn't, the way he was very pompous with the media, and I just didn't like his body language and stuff. It just felt like he just doesn't. He didn't have head coach vibes in me, and that was even before he got the job. I wasn't crazy about the hire. Joe Judge, I don't know enough about him. He was a special teams coach. He doesn't, not like he was a play caller where you can have some type of feeling of what he can do. I really don't know what to expect, so that's why I wasn't too high on it or too low on it. I'm kind of okay, we'll see what happens. That's all he could do is just wait and see what his results are. Now, I do like picking up Jason Garrett as the offensive coordinator, because when he was calling the plays, Dallas offense was never the problem when he was there. That was never the problem. It was just the defense and dealing with Jerry Jones. I can't imagine that being easy to deal with. So I was fine with Jason Garrett being the head coach. So we'll just see what Joe does. what he's going to do for the future. But I kind of like the pieces on offense. We have, obviously Saquon and, Evan Ingram if he's healthy. The kid Slayton that they got from Auburn last year in the draft was a steal. Obviously you got to work on the offensive line and stuff, but offensively they got the pieces. They got to work on the defense, of course. The defense is abysmal. I was actually really upset that we actually beat you guys.
Late
in the season. I was like, let's do good enough, but not too good. I was hoping Haskins would lead you guys and you guys get the win, and Daniel Jones will look good still, throwing 4 touchdowns instead of 5, and we can get Chase Young.
Right.
Yeah, of course. It didn't go that way. So now you guys are going to get Chase Young, and you guys have actually have good young pieces on defense too. That's what scares me too, is that along with like Montez Sweat and Allen, and along with getting Chase Young possibly, you guys have a nice defense. But we'll see what happens with the Giants as far as everything. Daniel Jones progressing well. Got to work on his fumbles and stuff. But we can only wait and see how it goes with Judge. I can't really say if it if it was a good hire or a bad hire. I don't know enough about him other than he was a special teams coach, and he was at Alabama with Nick Saban, and he was with Belichick, 2 great coaches. So he's learned from good coaches, but that doesn't mean he's going to be a good coach. So
that's true. That's true. And it's funny how this Giants coaching situation happened, because it's funny because I actually predicted Jason Garrett as the head coach of this team. I predicted on New Year's, when I did the podcast on New Year's, that I figured he was going to end up being the head coach. But I'm telling you, I really think
I could see that.
And I think that could possibly happen. And I think what ended up happening with you guys, where I think guys was in such a weird position, and it's funny, and I think I even said this on the podcast 3 weeks ago, and I was like, I think they were going to be one of the last teams to get a coach because this whole Jason Garrett, because he got held hostage. Because it was because I think his contract wise was January the 14th, and I think it was like maybe the 10th or whatever. They let him go like maybe a few days beforehand. So then Matt Rule goes to Carolina. So it's almost like it's one of those things where it's just like I think they were trying to wait for Jason Garrett, and almost was like, well, So it's one of those weird. It was just weird of how that all panned out, and it's almost, I think it was the making of Jerry Jones. And I think if he would have got fired, the day after, the season, then the story could change. But like you said, it could still be. It's a distinct possibility where he could end up being the head coach, almost similar like it was in Dallas.
Because he was always the head coach in waiting when Wade Phillips was there.
Right.
He was the hot assistant. He was the Kyle Shanahan. He was the that big name coordinator that was going to be a head coach.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of when.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's in 2 years or that he's the head coach of the Giants if things don't go accordingly. So we'll see. But I do think they wanted Matt Rule.
Yeah,
I definitely think they wanted Matt Rule until they heard his asking price, and he wanted full control.
Right.
I think those are two things. Especially with having Gettleman, I'm not crazy about Gettleman either. That's he's another thing. But I think they wanted Rule until they saw what Carolina was giving him, and it's hard. I can't blame Matt Rule. You get offered a contract that he got 7 years, $70 million, $80 million, something like that. It's hard to pass. And then full control, I think he got full control of the roster say, and what coach is going to turn that down? You get to shop for the groceries and then cook it too. Like Bill Parcells.
Bill Parcells, yes, indeed. Yeah, right.
Yeah, he did something like that. Not exactly, but he said something similar there. So Matt Rule got a sweet deal, and then the new ownership there, the owner wanted to make a splash. So I that's a smart move on him, and they got their guy. I think the Giants, if they wanted him, they should have got him. That's just simple. Giants have been a little frugal of late. I wanted Rule. I just like how he's built teams. You know, he built Temple from nothing and made them, you know, back-to-back bowl wins and 10-win seasons. And he took Baylor. I mean, Baylor was in the dumps. That whole older scandals and all that, the sexual assault scandals and all that with Art Briles. And then to build that up from, I think he got his first year, they were, I don't know, a couple wins or one win. And then to bring them up to, I mean, they were in the playoffs. They could have made it to the playoffs this year. I mean, they had Oklahoma down 21. Oklahoma down 21 in the game, and they got to the Big 12 championship and lost to Oklahoma again. But they were, you know, they could have went to the playoffs. So I just like the way he built teams, and I felt like that would be the perfect hire. But you know, they went another route. So you know, we'll see.
Yeah, because they made it to a New Year's Six bowl. They went to the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
And who'd ever thought that happened?
Baylor. I mean, Baylor was the laughing stock. I mean, people were talking about the death penalty with them, you know, a couple of years ago. And to put Baylor on the map, you know, put them in national contention where you possibly could have got to a national championship if a few plays go here and there. You know, I just like the way he built teams, and I think, you know, Carolina got themselves a good coach.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be very patient with him, which I think that's what owners have to do now. You have to let these coaches be coaches and give them the time. Because I look at and the perfect quintessential example of it is what's going on in San Francisco. And it's funny because
San Francisco is perfect. Is exactly.
And what I found was cool about that situation was that Lynch and Shanahan got 6-year deals. And I was like, that's perfect.
They're tied at the hip.
They're married together. Then that's how you're supposed to build a team. This is what you're supposed to do. And you got to give these guys team. You got to give these guys time to fix it. And that 6 years, that's perfect because we'll know in 6 years if this Carolina Panthers team is worth. It is worth. You got to give these guys. You have to give these guys time. And I think a lot of people are so just quick to jump the gun and be like, oh, if it don't work in 2 years, he's out the door. It's not going to happen because if you look at like with Cal and they should have been out the door. They should have been out the door, but no, they had the second worst. They won 4 games last year, and now look where they're at now. And that's what people do.
Exactly.
Most teams would have been like Cal, you out the door, John, you out the door, but they stuck. They stuck with it.
But and also they had Jimmy G healthy, so you can evaluate this team better. Last year he got hurt. I think the first game or second game of the year.
Yeah,
I think, and then you know when you lose your starting quarterback, you know, and you got the second string and third string, you know, going in back and forth, it's hard to, you know, no matter you can have the greatest defense if you don't got a quarterback, you're not going to go far. You know, so they made sure they built everything else. And they built everything else tremendous. They drafted good. They drafted not good. They drafted tremendous. You know, getting steals. Like they got George Kittle in the 5th round, getting all these guys.
Right.
They got Richard Sherman. Getting free agents like Richard Sherman for really not a lot of money. You know, taking a chance on him, and he came back to being an All-Pro. You know, and they just made the running backs, just having a bunch of them, just a bunch of solid running backs, just building. You know, good offensive line. The defense is tremendous. You know, they built it right. And then when Jimmy G was, even though he struggled late, you know, in the playoffs a little bit, but he was healthy this whole year. He played good this whole year. He's shown that, you know, especially in the Saints game, you know, he showed that he can throw the ball and lead a team to victory. So, and they just built the team perfect, and they gave Kyle and John Lynch, time to build this team. And look at Bam, you got it. And the finish, they're 1 win away from winning the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
You know, so even if they don't win it, it's still a tremendous season. You know, and the future's just bright for them. You know.
Yeah. And it gives hope for guys, for teams like me who have the 2nd overall pick in this year's draft. Hope for next year.
I've told people about the Redskins. I mean, obviously, the team's been a bit of a laughing stock. You know.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
but I do feel that you guys are getting things in the right track. And Ron Rivera, another guy who I would have minded to be the head coach of the Giants. That was a tremendous hire. Tremendous hire. And again, Jack Del Rio to be the defensive coordinator.
Yes.
Two great hires. Right. Ron Rivera is really going to bring, a great culture in Washington. And I think this, the development of Dwayne Haskins is going to be something that's could be crucial. Obviously, that's the quarterback. But I think your defense is it's similar to like what the San Francisco's doing. You guys have little by little, even with this dysfunction the last few years, you still have drafted some good defensive players.
Exactly.
And you got the 2 pick this year, and most likely you're going to take Chase Young. And that just adds to the defense. So, you guys may have a little bit of the blueprint of what San Francisco's doing, and that scares the hell out of me.
And it's funny. Yeah, right. And, And the same thing going on my end. Daniel Jones is funny because I'm a Carolina football fan, so I've seen Daniel Jones since he was like a sophomore in college.
Oh, you're a UNC fan. Okay, cool.
Yes, so it's just like seeing him and he's beat us every year. Like
Yeah,
Daniel Jones is something else.
I'm a Hurricanes fan. I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. So another dumpster fire of a team, but Hurricanes. But
it happens.
But yeah, I saw him play. And I liked him. I think with people criticizing him so much, it's kind of what happened with Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming.
Yeah, exactly.
Very similar. They didn't have a lot of talent around them, so. When you don't have a lot of talent, it's more easy to pick and prod like, oh, he can't do this. Well, it's not like he went to Ohio State where Dwayne Haskins was throwing to first round picks, throwing to a bunch of guys who are going to be in the NFL. You're not throwing to NFL players,
right? Exactly.
So how can you judge Daniel Jones based off he's playing with guys that probably not even CFL level?
Exactly.
No offense to guys at Duke, but
it's a basketball school.
Yeah, Duke is. We're not talking about Coach K here, We're not talking about getting 5-star recruits like it's nothing. We're talking about Duke football, like Duke basketball,
Right.
So, the criticism was. Now, I did want Dwayne Haskins as a Giants fan. I did want Dwayne. I thought his talent. I think was. I just loved his upside. I know he's raw, but I just love this upside and I saw that at the end with the Redskins, he started to really have more confidence. He gained some confidence before he got hurt, and I thought he would. I love the size. I love the size. Good arm. I just thought he, Ohio State, coached well by Urban Meyer. I definitely was really wanted Haskins, but when they drafted Daniel Jones, I thought they could have gotten him a little later, but I'm hearing. I heard other teams were, including the Redskins, were looking into Daniel Jones. But, I'm happy with Daniel. I'm happy with Daniel. He's progressed. He's just going to get better. So
he will.
That's one position. We don't have to worry about the quarterback position, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and you may not have to worry about it for another 16 more years. Wouldn't that be something?
Let's hope so. I'll take that. I mean, the Dolphins are still trying to find a quarterback. It's a Dan Marino. They're still trying to find their quarterback.
Exactly.
Buffalo may have their quarterback finally since Jim
Kelly.
I think
they do.
It's rare for that to happen. There's not a lot of teams that go from one great. I mean, the Packers. They went from Brett to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's rare, but the Colts went from Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck.
Right.
So hopefully we don't have to worry about the quarterback position and build the rest of the roster.
And that's a distinct possibility, and that's and that's possible.
Yeah.
So
I hope so.
Yeah. So let's transition to some hoops. So
yes.
Let's talk about your thoughts on Zion Williamson's debut last night.
Oh man, I actually did a little pod today on him. I'm a Duke Blue. I root for Duke Blue, the Duke football basketball team. I'm a Blue Devils fan, so I've been watching a lot of Zion. I was excited. I was so happy. He did look sluggish in the beginning. He was little, he wasn't moving too smooth. It seemed like he was a little sluggish. He didn't seem to have the balance, but once he got to that fourth quarter, it was just,
exactly.
He tore it up, and he showed, he had all his points without dunking. I mean, if anyone thought he was, that would have been the first thing you think. He's definitely his first points are going to be a dunk. He showed that he's more than just a dunker, more than a highlight reel. And I think, with not playing for the last 3 months, he's, and not being able to do too much, jumping and stuff, he's being able to develop that shot. And if guys are going to give him that, like let him shoot, and he's going to hit it, once he gets healthy, it's going to be hard to stop him. He's going to be scary, and his potential is just through the roof. And the fans are going crazy. It felt like a playoff game, kind of.
It did.
It had a playoff type, especially when he hit that last three and to take the lead. You would have thought it was Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals in New Orleans. It was loud. So, but I was excited. I'm sure the NBA is happy to have him. They moved that game to a primetime game. That's how much they want to see Zion succeed. So I'm happy. Hopefully he stays healthy. Hopefully the NBA gods keep him healthy. But it definitely was a good first game for him for sure.
Yeah, and that's one of the things where it's just like I loved it. Like you said, it was a playoff atmosphere. I just liked how, and I think a lot of people, and there was some criticism, but to me, it's like you got to think about it. It's he hasn't really played in 3 months, so he's just trying to get back into the swing of things. And then you see once he kind of got his comfort level in the fourth quarter, because he scored 17 of his 22 points in the fourth quarter, and pretty much in a 3-minute period. So, and I just like, and I think I just like the fact that he did, because everybody they're enamored with, oh man, I just want to see him dunk. But he did a lot of things, his athleticism. I remember when he pulled down that rebound over the guy from San Antonio. Was it Jake? Pro, I forgot his name.
7'1" dude.
He got that rebound from him, and I liked how the court vision, just the whole athleticism, the package.
His passing, I think, is the most underrated aspect of his game.
Exactly.
His passing is, he's going to be a guy who's going to act like, I think he could get to a LeBron James level passing. I think it's that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, I saw it at Duke. I was like, this guy can pass. Like he's an he's going to be an unselfish superstar, and there's not too many those guys in the league. But he's super unselfish. He's just. And you don't need to make. He got all his shots up. It wasn't even set plays. It was just they gave it to him. That's the crazy part. Like, you don't need to set plays for him. Like I said, the passing is the most underrated aspect of his game. And I don't people do not understand that he's more than just a dunker. That he can do a lot of things. And his passing, once he gets everything back, the vision's there. And when the vision, he has the potential to be a LeBron James like passer,
and he exhibited the skills that are going to keep him in this league for a long time. And that's why I think a lot of people get so caught up in the weight and this, that, and third. But to me,
oh God, I can't.
And there's going to be a point in time where he may lose weight or whatever. His body's going to change. He's 19 years old. We can't.
He's 19
years old.
19 years old. You hear all these media sites and they're Chris. Oh, he needs to do this. He needs to do that. This man's still growing. He's 19.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Right.
Right. He's a kid.
And that used to kill me too. And I'm like, he's 19. He's got to really evolve into his own body. And it could be a situation one day where he's going to probably lose weight. But for now, it works for him now. It's just like it's going to happen because and I think he's going to realize. Down the line that he's going to have to. But, for now, just let that man do his thing. And plus, you got to think of it. And it's just so funny how everybody's like, oh, well, he runs. At this point, Miles, they used to say that about Miles Turner. Look what Miles Turner's doing in this league. He's still running. He's still balling. I get that. I used to hate when people used to say, "Oh my God, Miles Turner, he's only 19. He's running like a 30-some-year-old man. So what? He still plays. He's still balling. He can put that. He can put the ball in the hoop. Exactly.
Then he just get a new contract.
Exactly.
I think we don't let these. I think guys keep forgetting that we're talking about 19 years. This kid was just in high school not too long ago.
2 years ago.
You know, we need to let the develop. You know, Giannis was a twig. Giannis was a twig when he got drafted. He was a twig, and look at him now.
Exactly.
He's built like a tank, and he's the MVP. You know,
right?
And he might win back-to-back MVPs. So let's these guys look at Victor Oladipo. It took him a while to develop, but guess what? Now he's in. I know he's hurt, but he went to back-to-back All-Star games. He showed up against LeBron in the playoffs. We need to let guys develop. We don't let these guys develop. You know, not realizing we're dealing with guys, especially in today's NBA. These guys come out at 19 years old, you know, one and dones. You know, the kids are. I mean, look, Devin Booker is like in year 4 and he's 23 years old.
Right. Exactly.
You know, these guys are still developing. You know, there's guys that in the draft 5 years ago that might blossom now. You know,
and what's funny,
we got to realize everyone's development is different. You know.
Exactly. And that's why, and a part of me, and I feel bad, like, and it's funny, and I could bring up two Duke guys. You look at the comparison now with Brandon Ingram, because I remember everybody was like, "Oh my God, he's a bust."
Another one.
And now he's balling. He's balling. He's coming out like
balling.
Right.
He's an all-star.
He's an all-star.
No doubt he's an all-star. Yeah.
And then I feel bad.
Also in the shadows of LeBron. He was in the shadows of LeBron.
The shadows of LeBron.
I mean, how many times have we seen guys, you know, struggle playing with LeBron? As great as he is, it's hard to play with him. It's hard to develop on him. He doesn't, you know.
And that's funny because I remember when LeBron went to the Lakers, I said the first person that's going to be affected by that game was going to be whose game was going to have affect him negatively was Brandon Ingram, because to me he's a poor man's LeBron James.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's a poor man's LeBron James.
He's going to get affected too. But then when he got traded to New Orleans, I was like, he's going to be a star. He's going to ball out. He's going to have a great season, and look what he's having. He's having a tremendous season.
Season.
Right. He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid.
Exactly.
He's going to get paid this offseason.
Exactly. And on the other token, you see now how a lot of people are comparing Marvin Bagley to Luka, because, you know, Luka is just out of this world MVP candidate, 20 years old, and now you're looking at Marvin Bagley, which Marvin Bagley's probably, like 21, if that. And it's 20, he might be 20. Come to think about it, like you're saying, these guys are, because you think about it, his assistant would be still in college. I mean, I think it would be like his senior year.
And he reclassified.
Oh yeah, he sure did. So, yes, he sure did.
So he's supposed to be a freshman now.
Right.
Or, no, he's supposed to be he's supposed to be a rookie right now. He would be a
rookie.
He'll be a rookie.
Yeah,
so,
he'll be a rookie.
Like I said, I've heard a lot of things about Marvin. You know, people, you know, obviously the Luka thing's always going to be there. Why did they not? Yeah. And listen, Luka's obviously out of this world, but Luka's also playing with grown men over in Europe. People, you know, he was playing with grown ass men. You know, we're talking, you know, Marvin, you know, reclassified. He's younger than most of the guys. You know,
exactly.
And he's also been banged up. He's been hurt too. So same thing what happened with Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram's first 2 years, he was hurt. Marvin Bagley is going to be a great player.
Yeah.
Even this year, he's had games where you're like, you see it. Exactly. But it's all about being healthy. He's been hurt the whole year, you know, so you can't put that on him. He's been hurt the whole year, you know. But with time, when he's healthy and he's going to show he's going to be a baller. I have no doubt Marvin Bagley will be. We could be talking about him in 2 years. Be like, remember when everyone was down him, and boom, he's an all-star. I wouldn't shock me because he's too talented to not be a guy who's going to be a 20-10 guy. He's just too talented. So exactly. That's another guy. Yeah. So patience. People need patience. We were already calling him a bust. People are calling him a bust already. A year and a half into his NBA career, and he's barely 20 years old.
Right. He can't even.
Crazy,
He can't even buy a beer. He's an NBA bust.
Yeah, and we're gonna call him a bust. Like, come on.
Right. Exactly.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's ridiculous, but he'll be fine too. He's gonna be fine too. I'm not worried about Marv. He could ball. He could ball. He showed it at Duke, and he could ball. He showed it when healthy, and once he gets healthy, he just got back from injury. So once he gets his healthy, he'll be fine. He's another guy. I wouldn't be surprised in a year or two. He can be an all-star. So I'm not worried about him.
Yeah. So let's get into our first half NBA surprises. What has been one of the biggest surprises, in your opinion, in the NBA halfway mark?
Like team surprises or player surprises?
Anything that has surprised you.
You know what surprises me? The Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
I thought they would be they'd be good, but I thought losing Malcolm Brogdon was huge. A guy who could shoot 90% from the free throw line, 50% from the field, 40% for three. They don't have a lot of those guys. He was a crucial piece to that team last year, and I thought losing him to Indiana was huge. But Giannis got better, and that's scary. To think that a man that averaged 30 points, whatever he did, and won MVP last year could get better, it's insane. He developed a jump shot that you can't clog the lane. Now you got to respect it. So that just opens up the lane more for him if he wants to fake a jump shot or a three and go to the hole at will. They're one of my surprising teams because I did not think, and they're just dominant. They're 39-6. Yeah, they're playing at a historic level. They could possibly get to the 70 wins. It's at this pace. It's insane how just tremendous they're playing. They're playing out of this world.
It is extremely possible.
Yeah, it's scary. They're a scary team. They haven't even lost in their division. They're destroying their division. They don't even have a loss in their division. They're toying with the Eastern Conference. I don't think there's a team that comes close to them in the East. I don't. I mean, I had the Sixers coming out of the East before the year. There's no chance that's happening. There's no chance. I think Milwaukee is gonna. They might sweep through to get to the finals. That just might happen because I don't think there's a team that's close to them at all.
Exactly. It's just amazing what the Bucks have done, like you said, and just the sustainability of it. Where we looked at that this could be a flash in the pan, and they have it could be like an anomaly, but they've been consistently good for the last couple seasons, and it seemed like saying then losing a guy like Malcolm Brogdon, which I thought that was really going to hurt them as well. I figured that was some guy that they couldn't afford to lose, and then a guy like Wesley Matthews is coming them in that spot, and he's been playing very well for them. And it's interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they built this team tremendously. I mean, they got the Lopez brothers there. Like I said, Wes Matthews, has played good for them. They're just tremendous. They're rolling. I can't see them losing to anyone. There's no one in the East that's even close to them, in my opinion.
Exactly. And another team I think in the East that really has surprised me was the Toronto Raptors. I didn't think they would be third in the East, to be honest with you. I figured they were going to be somewhat. I thought they were going to be 7th or 8th, or kind of in that little mix of.
I had them out.
Really?
I had them in the playoffs. Yeah. I didn't think Siakam would take this. He's an all-star. He's a starter, right?
He's a starter now. He's taking that lead.
I didn't think he was going to take that next level. I thought he'd be good, but I didn't know he was going to take that next 2 level. Major steps.
He's in the Kawhi Leonard level, big time.
Yeah, it's very similar to Kawhi. Very similar to Kawhi. And he learned from Kawhi, so it's not shocking. But
because
I didn't expect that either.
Yeah, and he's definitely not a poor man. He's not a poor man's Kawhi. He's it's almost his equal.
No, he's good. He can ball. He can ball.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
They've definitely. But it's all about, to me, with teams like those teams, where it's all about the culture. And just the culture that, how they built their teams and the culture they set there on both those organizations. That's what you want on your team.
Exactly.
You want a winning culture. You want a winning attitude. And that's what those two franchises have done. They've shown winning mentalities, Toronto went for, they went for it last year. They're like, they took a huge risk by trading for Kawhi.
Exactly.
And, that's why, you get paid the big bucks. And, they made the deal and boom, it got them a championship. Even though, they knew there was a good chance that Kawhi's probably not going to come back. But you got a championship out of it. So,
right.
It was worth it.
Exactly.
It was worth it at the end of the day.
And it's so funny, and definitely going back to the Toronto situation, just like what Masai Ujiri did, just the whole fact of essentially getting rid of Dwayne Casey, which at first initially I thought that was a bad move, and then actually getting rid of a guy and DeMar DeRozan, who's basically their franchise leading scorer in their franchise history, and making those type of moves, which essentially led to this. And then you think about the simple fact of then not giving up on Siakam, because a lot of them, like Siakam was going to, because Kawhi wanted Paul George to go there, and they're like, well, we're not going to trade Siakam for that. And now you look at where this is going, and it's like, for them to have the type of guts to actually, like you're saying, to stick to their guns, and it's just a testament to their to it, basically, essentially, where it's just like, the culture. It just speaks to their culture.
It speaks to the culture. And I think that's people don't, and that's what I think what, another team, Brooklyn, did last year. They started off, they were having a rough start to the season, and then they flipped it. They started winning. They showed the winning culture, and I think that's eventually what got them. They're two big free agents, because they saw the winning. This is winning. They're winning here. They're building something good here in Brooklyn, and I think that winning is going to get you free agents, get you guys to come here and want to play for you and build. In order to build to win a championship. And that's all about the winning culture, winning mentality. Just setting a good culture. And Miami too. Miami's been doing it forever. They've had teams where you're like, oh, that team's not good. Look at this year. I didn't think they would be, a top 2 seed. And look at Miami doing it, 31-13. They know how to develop the players. Player development too is another thing. Toronto developed Siakam to this. Fred VanVleet. These guys aren't household names, and they've developed to these guys into all-star type players. It's just all about player development. Milwaukee, with Giannis. Giannis wasn't even a lottery pick. Developed him into a freaking. He's about to be a 2-time MVP.
Exactly.
It's just, Chris Middleton. Guys like that. Getting him from. I think they got him from Detroit for nothing, and boom. He's one of the. He was an all-star last year. He just got a fat new contract. Player development is so key. That helps build the culture, and that's why certain teams who are on the bottom of the league are where they are, and teams that are on the top of the league are where they are.
Exactly, because that's what it ultimately boils down to. Because you're right. Because and just sticking to your guns, And I'm really surprised. Speaking of a team, I think that's on the rise is the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm really shocked that they're actually in contention for their last spot in the Western Conference, and just to play Ja Morant, battling with San Antonio.
Yeah. I mean, drafting Ja and Jaren Jackson last year, they've just made some really good roster moves. Drafting really well. With Dylan Brooks too has played good. They just doing a good job there. They're doing a really good job there, and Ja Morant's is another guy who's just special. You just watch him play. What's the most surprising thing is that he went to Boise State, and what happened in the recruiting that no one saw this, Like you didn't hear Kansas or UNC, Duke, the Villanova, no these big schools going after him, and he's a sophomore too, and he played with Zion in AAU, and he just burst onto the scene last year. I remember seeing him on the Sports Center. I think he had he dunked on someone hard, and just thinking, oh God. And then I actually watched the game where I was like, oh, he's not just a dunker. He could do. He's wheeling. He's passing. He's flashy. I'm like, oh, he can ball.
I like how they have a nice mixture of youth and experience, especially like you said. You talked about Dylan Brooks. Then you look at guys like Jay Crowder, Valanciunas.
Yeah.
I like that. So Brandon I do like
Clark,
that. Brandon Clark.
They got a good mix. They got a good mix of young and vet guys.
Exactly.
Tyus Jones too. Tyus Jones is a vet, and he's 23 years old.
Right. And that's something like right. He's a vet, and he's 23.
He's 23 years old. He's a vet.
Welcome to the new NBA.
That's the new NBA. Like I said, I think like I said before, Booker is like year 4 already, and he's like 23, 24 years old. Year 5, 4 or 5, and he's 24 years old, 23 years old. It's crazy to think, that how young these guys. And then with eventually they're gonna go back to high school. You can go straight to high school.
Yeah.
Younger. So
Right. When a 6-year guy is gonna be 24 years old.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And it's funny because I remember Dwayne Wade was talking about his first year in the league, how when he was playing against Kobe, and it's funny, like he was like it's weird as it sounds, but he's like Kobe was only like 24, 25 years old, like. Yeah. Like he was that young. Like he was like.
Yeah, cause I think Dwayne Wade went to college for like 2-3 years, right?
Yeah, and it's just funny how he,
at least 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, because when he came in the league, and it's funny how like to see a guy like Kobe who's already accomplished at the time. He was like a 3-time champion,
and he was already a 3-time champion. Yeah,
the same. He was a 3-time champion, and he was 24. Because that was in 2003. He was saying I think he at the time was maybe like 24 years old. And I'm like, that's something.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
He came in at 17, right?
Right.
Younger than most high school. He was 17. So
he was 17.
He was probably like 24, 25. Yeah.
Yeah, because because 03. Yeah, because he would have been 18 in that day. Because he was born in 78.
So he's probably 20. Yeah, like 70. He started 25, and Dwayne Wade was probably 22 already.
Right, and that's why
it's just a 3-year difference. Yeah.
Right, and it's just
Kobe's already got a resume that's Hall of Fame worthy at that point.
That's because he's saying right. He was pretty much like a grown man at 24 years old. Like like he was just so ahead of the curve. But that's how it's gonna end up being. I mean, and that's what that's what's gonna end up happening. I think, and another other surprise, I think in the first half, surprisingly, the Lakers. I think honestly, I figured they were gonna have somewhat of like a growing pains. I figured it's weird because I kind of thought like the Clippers were gonna be like what the Lakers are, and the Lakers were gonna be like the Clippers in the sense where it was gonna take. I figured that the Lakers situation was gonna be a situation where it was gonna take them time to kind of gel, and they were gonna take some lumps, but they've been playing very, very well. And I think and then just seeing how LeBron has been pretty much energized, and he's playing defense. He's right. He's playing defense.
He didn't play defense last year.
Heavens no.
He played 0 defense last year. No.
Exactly.
But you know what? They built this team with their role players perfectly. Last year, what they did was with Magic, when Magic Johnson was the VP. I was like, what are they doing? This year, they changed it, and they built a team. They got some snipers. They got him some good shooters. They got him adding Dwight Howard was big.
Right.
Even when they got DeMarcus Cousins, it was big. And I don't know if he'll be there for the stretch run, but if they get it for the stretch run, that's another big. To go along with McGee and Howard to clog the paint. They built this team really good. They did a great job building this team around LeBron to help him. So that's they've done a great job. I didn't think they'd be this good either. I thought I thought they would be the other way around, like you said, with the Clippers, being where they are. But the Clippers are have a lot of injuries too. That's what's hurt them. So,
that's true.
But the Lakers, they're playing out of this world. So they're playing tremendous basketball.
And what's funny, and what my biggest critique when Magic was there, the thing what killed me about him was a lot of guys were a lot alike. Like, you think, like, Brandon Ingram was like LeBron to me. I looked at Lonzo Ball. Yeah. Lonzo Ball is kind of remind me of a Rajon Rondo.
And then they get Rajon Rondo.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Right. And that's why I'm just like, and part of me is like, how is this really going to work? And I forgot who it was. Another guy who I really thought was similar. It was a lot of guys who were just similar in nature. And I'm just like, this isn't going to work. Like you said, they didn't have shooters. Yeah, because Michael
Beasley. I'm like, come on now. You're getting Michael Beasley. Come on now. You know that's not going to work. It hasn't worked at all since he's been in the league. Well, you think it's going to work because he has LeBron? No.
Right.
Come on, guys.
Not everybody. Right. Not everybody's going to get that shine. But, yeah. So, yeah, those have been my biggest first half. So what do you just envision? I would have a little crystal ball based essential. What you think your biggest headlines going into the second half? Just things that that you're interested in that we should be on the watch for.
Oh, one of the things obviously is seeing how Zion progresses, and if he can help, the Pelicans, get into the playoffs and be the 8th seed. That's something I'm looking into. Mm-hmm. Seeing if Milwaukee continues at this historic pace, see if they keep it up. That's another thing. Victor Oladipo coming back, because, Indiana's playing good without him. If they can add him, they could be a sleeper team to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Those are the few things I've taken away. And then seeing, just seeing Memphis, too, seeing how they do. I love seeing the young guys, see how the young guys do. R.J. Barrett, I like to see how they progress. That to me is interesting and all that. So, that's pretty much what I'm looking forward to this second half.
Absolutely. And what I think is going to be very interesting going forward, a couple things. I'm really intrigued about this trade deadline and what pieces are going to be made. I'm really interested. I'm really curious what's going to be the bidding war for Andre Iguodala. That's, I think, is going to be the biggest. That's the bet. Yeah. Well, Memphis could use them. They're going for a playoff That's what I say.
Why not?
And that's why I'm leaning towards, okay, so who's going to be the team that's going to give that team an asset that they need as far as to help them in this playoffs? Because a lot of people have been thinking, well, maybe they'll get some picks or some as far as the compensation is concerned. But to me, if I'm like Memphis, I kind of sort of want some type of a player, preferably maybe somebody with an expiring contract that could help me this year, and then relieve some cap space going forward. So I'm just like, they're not just going to give him away. Somebody's going to have to pony up something. So I think that's going to be curious, yeah.
Yeah. I think because in the beginning of the season, I don't think anyone thought Memphis would be. I think people think they'd be an exciting team, but definitely not a team where you're like, oh, they can actually contend for a playoff spot.
Right.
And I think maybe if they could change Iguodala's mindset, like, yo, we got something here, and we would like a veteran. You're a championship player, you're a Finals MVP, you've got that championship pedigree. Why don't you stick around for this year, and then you could probably stick around for next year, where we can get even better. We could be even better with you around. So maybe he sticks around. And
excuse my hyperbole, but he's a LeBron stopper, essentially.
Yeah. That's why he won Finals MVP.
Correct.
Now he had to guard LeBron.
Exactly. So and I thought a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people thought that Memphis was going to, essentially wave the white flag and be like, look, we surrender, we're just going to let them go and blah. But no, they're going to have to, get the assets for it. Then another big piece, I want to see what Detroit is going to do. I'm really hoping Detroit, because I'm a Bulls fan, so I'm really hoping that Detroit just blows it all up so we can kind of get in that spot. I think we're like three out for that last spot.
I think they're going to blow it up. I think they're going to blow it up.
And
I think this whole experiment is just the Blake thing is all just blow up in their face. And you don't right now it's in the NBA. You either want to be at the top or at the bottom, so you could try to get to the top with picks. If you're in the middle in the NBA, you're that's kind of a bad spot to be because you don't know whether you're going to be you need another piece to be a contender.
Exactly.
Or that's kind of where Detroit is. They're a weird team because you look at the talent-wise, they should be a playoff team. They should be a team that should be looking for a piece in order to take that next step. But they don't have. They aren't that team. Injury. They've had a lot of injuries and just nothing has worked this year. So they kind of have to, they have to figure out, do we keep this or do we just blow it up and just start all over?
Right.
And that's not easy because we know rebuilding takes a while. But I think they're at that stage where they need to blow it up because the Drummond Blake thing it doesn't seem to work. And they're gonna have to pay Drummond, and do they really want to pay a guy who's just a rebounder, a tremendous rebounder, but he's just a rebounder.
Right.
He's just you're gonna pay him $200 million for a rebounder.
Nah,
that's hard.
Right.
On top of already having Blake making a lot of money, that's
right.
And
he doesn't put butts in
they're
seats.
gonna have to do. No. So not at all. So I think they're sellers. I think Rose. They're gonna trade Derrick Rose. I don't know about Drummond, but I think by this off season, I don't know if he's gonna opt out or not. But they're sellers for sure. They're sellers for sure. I think they're gonna blow this thing up.
And that's why a part of me is just like. And that's where I'm curious about that domino as far as where Derrick Rose can go. Because a part of me, I'm just to be devil's advocate and kind of boost up the East, I wouldn't mind seeing him in Philly.
Philly could use him.
Philly could definitely use him. And I'm just like, I'm not going to say that essentially they could beat Milwaukee, but they can make it interesting. With a Derrick Rose in the fold, because they can get a guy who could, who has the wherewithal, and just another dog in the fight. Yeah,
and a guy who can actually take a jump shot at the point guard spot. Because Ben Simmons certainly can't do that.
Ding! Hello. Exactly.
Zion already got more 3-pointers in one quarter than Ben has in his whole career.
3 years, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean Philly. I've heard Philly and Derrick Rose that happening. I've heard the Lakers are into him. The Clippers. He's definitely gonna get traded. It's just a matter.
Oh yeah, it's just a matter of time.
It's just a matter of what team's going to go after him.
Yeah, he's been playing. He's been balling this year. He's been playing tremendously well.
Nothing makes me happier than seeing him healthy
and bad
and balling out. I mean, when he got traded to the Knicks, I was hyped. But then, he went AWOL, and of course, when you're on the Knicks, everything goes bad. So that's not shocking. But
and it's and it's
So I'm happy to see him ball out.
Exactly. Yeah. So the All-Star starters were announced earlier this evening, right before we came on the pod. And it was some interesting names, to say the least.
Oh yeah.
And the
especially in the East, of course.
In the East, so
with the East being weak, you're gonna, I expected, the Trae Young and
So in the East,
we're gonna reward being the worst team in the league, and we're gonna reward
that.
But, I mean, that's what happens when you have the fan vote. So I wasn't shocked at that at all.
So the East starters are going to be Kemba Walker, Trae Young, Pascal Siakam, Joel Embiid, and Giannis. And in the West, we're going to have LeBron James, James Harden, Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, and Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic. Basically.
Yeah.
The West, I mean, no question, the West got it right. I had Luka, Harden, Kawhi, LeBron, and AD. I mean, to me, that was crystal clear. Like you said, the West. I mean, the East was the one where it was going to be the question mark. Well, you knew about 3 of them was going to get there. I mean, it was predictable.
Yeah, the West was kind of easy to
They got it right.
The West was, they got it right. But the East, I don't agree with Trae Young being a starter.
Me neither.
Definitely don't agree with that.
We both were shocked. It was funny because it's funny how that happened right before we recorded the pod, and it's just like, what? I kid you not, I almost wanted to just make sure I was on the right site. Yeah. Like this ain't, you know how you get those fake news articles and stuff. I'm like, Trae Young. I'm like, huh? Like, I mean, even though he's almost averaging 30 points a game, don't get me wrong, he deserves to be an all-star.
It's no disrespect. It's no disrespect to his game. It's just
right, but the Hawks are the worst team. And
have the worst record in the league, I believe.
Right, and they even worse than the Warriors. No, I don't think they're worse than the Warriors, but I mean,
I think
they are though. I think
the Warriors have like a.
I think they got 10 wins. Yeah, the Warriors got 10 wins. They got 9.
Yeah.
But
still, like,
yeah,
the awards, he should be an all-star, but to be a starter. But I guess because it's kind of weak in the East.
It's weak in the East, and like you're saying, it's that because I mean we almost Taco Fall's about to be.
Oh my God, Alex Caruso.
Alex Caruso.
I almost lost my mind.
I was like, man, I'm sorry. I'm a fan. I used to love being a part of the voting process, but you know what? Just take us out of the equation. Exactly. Please do. I was like, Taco Fall's in the D League. Like he may not be in the D League All-Star game, but you're gonna have him in the All-Star game.
Yeah, Alex Caruso averages 10 minutes. Alex Caruso averages like 11 minutes a game, and he's gonna be a starter in the All-Star game.
Come on, man! Knock it off.
Let's stop this. Let's
stop the madness. Right, but the West perfect, but the East, and almost to the point where, like, if we gonna, like, to me. If we're gonna just based on that, I'll bang the drum for if we're gonna keep the same formula, I'll bang the drum for Bradley Beal more than Trae Young.
Yeah,
to be honest with you,
if that's the case,
because
if we're not gonna if we're not gonna add that losing wins or losses matters to being all-stars, then Bradley Beal should be in consideration to be an all-star, and also Jimmy Butler.
Right, and that's when we talked about that too, where it's like, hold up, like Jimmy Butler's, the Miami Heat are second in the Eastern Conference. They're 31-13.
Exactly.
Like, who would have ever thought that the Miami Heat would even be in this predicament? Granted, we figured they were going to be in contention, but they're the second best team in the Eastern Conference. Like, that baffles me, and this is like we don't reward Jimmy Butler for that because he essentially turned that team around, and I think we're going to see the difference even with Philly, where you see the cause and effect.
They gave the wrong guy a max. They gave Tobias Harris almost $200 million, which is another crazy thing that they gave him almost $200 million.
Right.
If that's the case, you might as well give that to Jimmy Butler. At least he can hit big shots and defend at a high level. But,
and in this league, if I'm paying you $200 million, you bringing butts in the seats. Like,
Tobias Harris is not doing that.
Correct.
There's no one I know that we go, I need to see Tobias Harris. There's no disrespect to Tobias Harris.
No,
he's a solid player.
He's a solid player.
NBA. He's a good NBA player.
Right.
No one's going to Philadelphia to be like, yo, I need to see Tobias Harris play.
Right. It's like we talk about like Andre Drummond. We talked about him. Hey, I'm not going to downtown Detroit to see Andre Drummond in the Detroit Pistons. Nah, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not going. I don't care if he gets 68 rebounds in the game.
Exactly.
You know, okay, well, all right, you get rebounds. You're supposed to get rebounds. You're 7 foot and you're 250 pounds. You know, but you know, with the voting, you know, just get rid of, you know, the positions. Just whoever gets the 5 most votes, whoever the 5 most votes, just put that. But that,
and I
this
think,
is the
right.
case. You know, there's no need to have.
Sense.
You already got rid of the center thing. They already got rid of the center. They want the center position to go away so bad that they took it off the ballot.
Right, and I think they should do it because to me it's essentially, I mean, especially in the All-Star game where essentially it's a pickup game.
Yeah.
Where essentially, you know, that's what's gonna.
Yeah.
It is essentially it's a pickup game, and like you're saying, it should be positionless. Like you're saying, the top 10, well, the top 5 vote getters in the East versus the top 5 vote getters in the West.
Yeah.
Because whoever you got,
let's do that. Yeah.
Right. Because regardless, even you looking at this roster, all of these guys can handle the ball like a point guard, just essentially, generally. Yeah. So I'm just like, hey, I mean, yeah, and I think that's what they should do. And I think, and now, and one thing I always was a big proponent of, in which the league made an effort to always showcase the guys who were on winning teams.
Yeah.
Reward
winning. You're supposed to reward.
Yeah. So that's why I just thought that was rather odd. But I mean, it's here nor there. But I mean, it was
Yeah, I mean, he deserves to be an all-star for sure. He's averaging 30 points a game, 8, 9 assists a game. But you know, I like to reward teams, you know, guys on winning teams. But I mean, maybe because there's not a lot of high, you know, profile guys on these winning teams other than Jimmy Butler, you know.
Exactly.
But I mean, especially Kevin Durant not playing, you know, because you know Kevin Durant's gonna be on the.
Yeah, he'll be on there, yeah. And
he'll be there next year, so.
And then Kyrie missing the bulk of it, yeah.
Kyrie missing
the bulk of the season.
You know, so a lot of injuries too. You know, Victor Oladipo being out. You know, there's a lot of guys, you know, in the East also that have been hurt.
But yeah, so let's put a bow in this week's pod. So who gets this week's game ball for you?
Game ball, as far as what, like my, you know.
So basically, the player of the week, athlete of the week, anything that's going on in the world of sports that you just want to give a shout out to, something that you like, you know, you hang your head on.
Zion, man.
Zion,
man, and Zion being back, you know.
Yeah.
He's gonna add more eyeballs to the game. You know, seeing him play, you know, especially just having an electric fourth quarter, that's, you know, that just excites me, and you know, rooting for him since Duke. He's definitely I'll give him my game ball because, you know, seeing him, you know, run, you know, making plays and almost helping his team win the game, you know, he's definitely I'll give him the game ball for sure.
All right. So mine, I'm actually gonna dive back a little bit into football. Huge shout out to my former interim head coach and Bill Callahan, who got the job as the offensive line coach for the Cleveland Browns. He's going to be that's such a great sleeper addition for the Cleveland Browns, who have struggled offensively on the offensive line. He's going to do a hell of a job. He's done tremendous jobs and worked wonders on offensive lines. You look at the Dallas Cowboys.
The best for sure.
Offensive line was pretty much a product of his under his tutelage, and our offensive line, who you know at one point was pretty solid. And I mean you know, so definitely, and I think he's definitely going to help that Cleveland Browns team going forward. So any final thoughts before we end the pod tonight?
Man, it was just a great conversation, man. This was fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this was fun. Always a great time to link up with like minds, and you know, and ones who love the art of podcasting and just love having good conversation about sports. It's always a good time to link up, you know, with like-minded creators like like ourselves. Always a great time. Yes, indeed.
I definitely got to get you on mine. I definitely got to get you on the
pod. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll definitely be there, no doubt. You know me. I'll definitely be there.
Yeah.
So, Chris, man, you got to let them know. You got to let them know where they can find you on social media and where they can find the podcast at, man.
Yes. So you can find me on the Off the Ball podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on Google Podcasts, Anchor. All platforms. You can find me on Twitter at Off the Ball Pod. Instagram also. My personal is Papa LeBron too on Twitter and Instagram, and come go to the show. I got 20 shows up on my platforms, and just hit me up.
Yes, indeed, and we'll definitely hit you up on the follows and get that all situated. And of course, you can follow the podcast on any of your favorite social media. So pretty much every social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Couch Coach Live. Also podcasts on everywhere that has a podcast, Apple, Spotify, you name it. And also, Chris, I had to ask you a quick question. Have you tried to apply for iHeart?
iHeart? I haven't.
It is weird because I tried to apply for it and I never got a response back from iHeart. And part of me is like, I've kind of been putting them on the blast like for the last couple of months. But I think I might just need to just do that again and kind of like ease up on my little rant about iHeart every week. But yeah. So without further ado, definitely appreciate you, Chris, for coming on the pod tonight. And of course, check out my man on the Off the Ball podcast, anywhere that you can catch podcasts. And thank you guys for coming back. Definitely a huge shout out as my first guest of the new century, and not century, but the new decade of 2020.
The new decade.
So this will go down in digital history.
For sure.
So without further ado, man, this has been Couch Coach Live. I want to thank everyone for listening to the pod this week, and we will catch you next week, a big week in Super Bowl week, and we'll definitely catch you guys next week. This has been the Couch Coach Live podcast.